name is Dave Tanagawa. I'm a senior storage engineer with NetApp IT, and I'm joining you today by way of this video to talk about SnapLock. An annual report by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission stated that during fiscal year 22, it filed 760 total enforcement actions and orders for over $6.4 billion in civil penalties, disgorgement remedies, and prejudgment interest on behalf of investors. Regulations such as SOX, SEC 17A-4, HIPAA, FINRA, CFTC, and GDPR obligate organizations to carefully consider how critical data is protected and retained. SnapLock is a licensed, high-performance compliance solution that allows organizations to use WORM, that is write once, read many, storage, to retain files in unmodified form for regulatory and governance purposes. Once the license has been installed, the SnapLock compliance clock is initiated on each node that hosts a SnapLock aggregate to prevent tampering that might alter the retention period for WORM files. After a SnapLock aggregate and volume are created, the retention time for individual files can be explicitly set, or the retention period can be derived from the default retention time configured for the volume. When we talk about retention period, this refers to the length of time that the file must be retained after it is committed to WORM state. Retention time is the time after which the file no longer needs to be retained. SnapLock protection is available in two different modes. SnapLock Enterprise implements best practices for protecting digital assets with WORM storage. Data on a SnapLock Enterprise volume cannot be altered or modified. However, data can be deleted prior to the end of the retention period by an administrator using an audited privilege delete procedure. SnapLock compliance is the stricter of the two modes. It implements strict data retention for external mandates like SEC 17A-4. Committed volumes cannot be altered or deleted during the retention period, even by an administrator. In addition to regulatory compliance, immutable snapshot copies and SnapLock can be used to provide a logical air gap backup as part of an overall cyber resiliency strategy. NetApp IT is currently using SnapLock Enterprise for protecting SOX data, and we're using SnapLock Compliance to protect critical application data against malicious actions by a rogue actor who has gained admin privileges. In both cases, we vault snapshots to SnapLock volumes where the copies can be committed to WORM, preventing deletion. SnapLock is licensed as part of the Security and Compliance Bundle, and a single license entitles you to use SnapLock in either Enterprise or Compliance mode. There are no restrictions on creation, deletion, or number of snapshot copies on SnapLock volumes beyond the normal system limits. SnapMirror, Dump, and all other snapshot copy-based technologies are supported with SnapLock volumes. SnapRestore can be used to restore a previous snapshot copy on a SnapLock Enterprise volume, but it may involve data loss because SnapLock Enterprise assumes that the storage administrator is trusted. However, SnapRestore is not supported on SnapLock compliance volumes because this would violate the permanence guarantee and regulatory compliance requirements in the untrusted administrator model of SnapLock compliance. Data from a SnapLock compliance volume would have to be restored using NDMP copy or SnapMirror restore to recover the data on a separate volume. In ONTAP 9, only like-to-like SnapMirror relationships are supported between regular SnapLock Enterprise and SnapLock compliance volumes. So a SnapLock compliance source volume can only be mirrored to a SnapLock compliance destination. Same with SnapLock Enterprise and regular FlexVol volumes. As with other features in ONTAP, SnapLock functionality continues to improve as new versions of ONTAP become available. SnapLock support for storage efficiency, including data compaction, cross-volume dedupe, and adaptive compression, became available beginning with ONTAP 991. In ONTAP 9.10.1, we introduced the ability for SnapLock and non-SnapLock volumes to coexist on the same aggregate. SnapLock is supported with flex group volumes beginning with ONTAP 9.11.1. And in ONTAP 9.12.1, we support SnapLock for SnapVault and snapshot copy locking. Snapshot copy locking requires SnapLock licensing and initialization of the compliance clock, but it doesn't use either SnapLock Compliance or SnapLock Enterprise. Snapshots can be locked on any volume either manually or with a retention period configured on the volume snapshot policy. Locked snapshots cannot be deleted until the retention period is over. I will now demonstrate how SnapLock Compliance protects files. Here I have a demo aggregate which has already been configured for SnapLock Compliance, the stricter of the two types of SnapLock. I'm now going to create a SnapLock volume on this aggregate with a junction path that the volume will be mounted to. Here we can see that our newly created volume, compliance_vol, has been created with the compliance SnapLock type. Note also that our aggregate contains both SnapLock and non-SnapLock volumes, which can coexist on the same aggregate, starting with ONTAP 9.10.1. Now I'm going to set the default and minimum retention period for this volume to 30 days. I can run the vol SnapLock show command to see the SnapLock configuration settings for this volume. Now I'm going to create a CIFS share so we can access the volume from our Windows machine. In File Explorer, I will now navigate to the compliance_vol share. And I'll grab a few files from this marketing folder and copy those to compliance_vol. Now the files that exist here have not yet been committed to worm. So there's nothing that prevents me from deleting a file at this point. One way to commit these files to worm is to go into the properties and to set the read-only attribute. So this file has now been committed to worm, and File Explorer will not let me delete it. I also cannot go back into the file properties to unset the read-only attribute. Thank you for watching this video. We hope that the information covered here helps you consider how SnapLock technology can be instrumental in helping your organization with its compliance and cyber resiliency strategies. We look forward to seeing you again next time.